Hello, you're watching My Media Prime Television. This is the morning edition of information coming to you live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital with me, Fon Quinter. Let's begin today's edition of Prime Flash in the Northwest region, where the recently appointed commanders of the 5th Joint Military Region and 5th Joint Gendarmerie Region have officially taken the command stakes. They were installed to their functions by the minister delegate at the presidency in charge of defense, Joseph Betty Somo, at the Bamenda Commercial Avenue grandstand. Minister Betty Somo called on the two incoming generals to show no complicity with pockets of resistance from separatist fighters. Both men took over from Brigadier General Cavalier and Brigadier General Ekongwese, divine commanders of the 5th Joint Military Region and 5th Gendarmerie Region, respectively. Today, one a priest of the Boya Diocese, Reverend Didymus Formi Yombo, has died following an accident along the Yaoundé-Douala Highway Tuesday, July 19, 2022. According to reports, his car collided with another while he was returning from Yaoundé after attending an interview at the U.S. Embassy. Another priest who was in the car, identified as Reverend Father Chrysanthos, is currently receiving treatment in a hospital, said to be in critical condition. Now, for weeks now, major cities in the country have been experiencing fuel and gas scarcity. The situation is intense in Yaoundé, the nation's capital city, with drivers flooded into fuel stations upon hearing that a station had been fueled. Footages online show unruly lines of cars searching for fuel, a situation which caused major traffic jams in neighborhoods concerned. Now, 18 months after the putting in place of the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the Northwest and Southwest regions, civil society activists still argue that what the crisis-plagued regions are in need at the moment is a return for peace. Joy Ngong spoke with an activist and compiled the following report.
Despite the results presented by the coordinator of the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the Northwest and Southwest regions, Paul Tassong, last July 8, some political analysts are of the opinion that reconstruction is not what the Anglophone regions need at the moment, especially as they are still in crisis.
I think that it is cheaper and easier to build peace than building infrastructures in the Northwest and Southwest. Because if you invest in building those infrastructures, when there is still war, there is every possibility that these things will be destroyed in the course of war. And so to me, the government should embark in durable peace. And for the government to embark in such a peace, the government should identify the real problems of the Anglophones.
Practically, in order to restore the required peace, the barrister implores government to dig out the root of the Anglophone problem, which at the same time is the majority request of the people of the Northwest and Southwest regions.
And I've said it on many occasions that there are actually two grievances: those who believe in federation and those who believe in separatists. For the federalists, there is no other solution than going back to a federated state. And so if the government goes back to a federated state, at least 70% of the Anglophone crisis would have been resolved. When they resolve the Anglophone crisis, that they're going back to federalism and gain 70% of the Anglophones, the 30% faction going in for federalism, for the secession, beg your pardon, will normally probably give up and they will have peace. The government should be honest to know that without durable peace, there cannot be a durable development in Anglophone regions.
It is important, nevertheless, to note that the government has rehabilitated more than 30 schools, recovered 800 official documents, built over 19 water supply systems, among other projects, as announced by Paul Tassong. The minister delegate equally acknowledged that the project has so far received financial support amounting to 11.9 billion francs CFA from Japan, the UNDP, and the private sector. The plan for the reconstruction and development of the Northwest and Southwest regions is set to continue in full force, involving more municipalities. As its coordinator says, they are the bearers of population development projects.
For the first time since 2022, the euro and dollar are trading at a unitary parity, with the CFA franc linked to the euro by a fixed exchange rate regime. It is natural to ask what the implications might be for the countries where they are used. Emanuela Moni in this report.
These last months, the euro has progressively depreciated and has attained parity with the dollar. The euro has lost close to 20% of its value since the 6th of January 2021. This depreciation of the euro reflects a strong appreciation of the dollar. The question on everyone's lips is, what are the consequences of this on countries using the CFA francs?
Globalement, la dépréciation de l'euro par rapport au dollar implique une certaine détérioration des termes de l'échange, surtout pour...
Globally, the depreciation of the euro as compared to the dollar implies a certain deterioration in terms of exchange, especially for countries in the eurozone and also for countries in the franc zone. As you all know, we are in the same boat through the monetary pact that binds us. And what they experience, we do too, and even more. Why? Because we are not strong enough. Our inflation at this point is galloping. Our commercial balance is not favorable. And we have an external debt that is evolving with speed as compared to countries in the eurozone. So we are directly affected by what the eurozone countries are going through. There's going to be an unfailing deterioration of the commercial balance, because since it is constant, the value of imports will increase, and that's what we are hoping to avoid.
À volume constant, la valeur des importations va augmenter. Tout ce que nous souhaitons éviter précisément.
The franc zone countries have the particularity to evolve in a system where the currencies have a purchasing power in euro that does not vary. Mechanically, if the euro depreciates, countries that have a fixed exchange rate with the euro also depreciate against the dollar. The depreciation of the euro has and will always have winners and losers. It will always depend on which side of the economic chessboard everyone is on.
Now, taking a road trip to the village for vacation is a do without activity for most holiday makers during the summer vacation in Cameroon. Many have attested it's not just the need to learn their culture or make friends, but the activities that take place are irresistible. Darling Gande in the following report.
While most city holiday makers are often thrown with a variety of leisure activities, those in the rural communities are limited with few options. This is Opankon, a locality in the southwest region of Cameroon, where the sons and daughters alongside a few elites would organize local football tournaments as these, commonly called interquartier, in a bid to permit the youths showcase their talents while catching fun during holidays.
This is the second edition of the Unity Cup. As you can see, the match just ended with the opening match with Alliance FC vs Youngsters of Lebe, which ended 0-0.
During the games, the holiday makers are also conscious in making the most in terms of business, as some will go as far as selling little chewables like bubblegums and fries, which accompany the spectators. Meanwhile, for some, it is an utmost privilege to be seen on TV, as it turns to be an exciting first-time experience. Besides the fun they catch, sometimes local commentators' unskilled professionalism could worth more be appreciated than being an amateur, as it ushers the village chief to roll the ball. Away from the games, the youths are primordially occupied with agriculture, cultural reunions, amongst others, and to this effect, holidays are indispensable for many in the village.
News out of Cameroon, the toxic chemical methanol has been identified as a possible cause of the death of 21 teenagers at a bar in the South African city of East London last month. Methanol was found in all their bodies, and investigations are counting to determine whether the levels of the toxic chemical were enough to have killed them. Authorities are, however, still awaiting the conclusion results, which have been conducted at a laboratory in the city of Cape Town. Note here that methanol is a toxic form of alcohol that is used industrially as a solvent pesticide, one alternative source of fuel. And Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has given the country's education and labor ministers 2 weeks to end the prolonged lecture strike. The country's academic staff union of universities asked its members to skip work on 14 February and have not returned since then. They are protesting against the government's failure to implement a 2009 deal that would see lecturers get better pay and improve facilities in institutions of higher learning. The union insists that their actions are in the best interest of students who have to stay in school longer due to the disruption in the school calendar. And forest fires that have been devastating wooded areas in northern Morocco since last week have been contained. According to authorities, one of the last outbreaks, which ravaged 500 hectares, half of which was forest cover, was brought under control on Monday in the province of Tetuan. The National Agency for Water and Forestry said the total area damaged by fires reached 6,600 hectares until Sunday. This concludes today's edition of Prime Flash on My Media Prime Television. Coming up next is the brief of Lasha Kingsley and Gladys Bomotwangina. My name is Fon Quinter. Today's edition of Prime Flash was compiled and produced by Junior Pelama. Have a blessed day in the company of more programs on The African Eye. Goodbye.
My Media Prime TV, The African Eye.